Good day, you're watching Businessworld Live. I'm Danie, Laurel.
And I'm Delos Santos. Here are today's top stories. Monetary authorities expect growth to settle below target in the next 2 years.
Finance Chief Ben Diokno says the government will act aggressively to prevent the peso from dipping to 60 per dollar. But economists doubt that remittances ahead of the holidays could bring the local currency back to the 55 level.
Admitting that the plights of the sector have long been neglected, President Bongbong Marcos vows to improve the country's sugar industry.
The Mactan-Cebu International Airport is closed indefinitely after a Korean airplane overshot the runway during landing. Let's begin our broadcast with the Bangko Sentral projecting that the economy could grow below target next year and in 2024. Now, while monetary authorities expect the economy to maintain recovery momentum this year, they forecast that growth may settle slightly below the 6.5 to 8% targets for 2023 and 2024. This is according to the highlights of the Monetary Board's meeting in September. The BSP says risks including broadening inflationary pressures, weather-related disturbances, supply chain issues, and the ongoing war in the Ukraine. Economists say headwinds are expected to persist, which in turn could dampen growth momentum. Now, in the first half of 2022, the GDP expanded by 7.8%, settling within the government's 6.5 to 7.5% target for the year.
Economists say the expected inflow of remittances during the holiday season is unlikely to drive the peso back to the 55 level against the dollar. According to Sid Terosa, senior economist from the University of Asia and the Pacific, holiday remittances will help stabilize the peso at a lower level than the 60 peso mark. However, it may not be enough to push it back below the 55 level. Economics professor Leonardo Lanzon of the Ateneo de Manila University also sees holiday remittances offering some temporary reprieve. However, the government must still develop a viable stimulus program that can generate foreign earnings, reduce import dependency, and stabilize the economy. Finance Secretary Ben Diokno earlier vowed that government will spend more to keep the peso from dipping to the 60 level. He says the government plans to deploy billions of dollars more in reserves to support the local currency. Now, in other news, President Bongbong Marcos vows to fix the problems hounding the country's sugar industry. In a speech in Talisay City, Negros Occidental over the weekend, Marcos admitted that the plight of the sugar industry has long been neglected. With this, the president says there is a need to make some adjustments within the industry as well as assist all sectors hit by economic shocks.
Ang problema ay sa industriya ng asukal. Marami tayong kailangan ayusin na problema dahil napabayaan sa nakaraang ilang taon. Sa ngayon, tinitiyak lang natin na sapat ang dumadating sa taong bayan, hindi lamang asukal, pati na ang lahat ng produkto ng agrikultura.
Meanwhile, Marcos also raised the need for a public-private partnership-style system to support the growth of small businesses. The president says the Trade Department must come up with a system that will connect micro, small, and medium enterprises or MSMEs with private financiers and investors that could help them grow their businesses. He says the agency should also ramp up efforts to introduce these new businesses to the public. The Philippine Chamber of Commerce and Industry has forwarded to the President 10 policy resolutions which it deems necessary to propel growth. Now, to find out more about what's on their wish list, we have their President George Barcelon. Sir George, good day. Thank you for joining us again. 10 policy resolutions sent to the President last week. Quite a long list from MSMEs to food security. Which ones do you want prioritized?
Good morning, Jess, and good morning, Danie. Well, all of those are important. And then there are all priority resolutions. As I just heard from your video portion of President BBM, stating the importance of agricultural, which of course has a direct bearing on the food, sufficiency. that's one of the key areas that was mentioned during our conference. Of course, other than that, there are a lot more that we need to address and to fast track. The energy is one, infrastructure, connectivity is just as important. So the fact that the president recognized what are the tipping point for us in moving ahead. We're quite confident that those issues can be fast-tracked with him directly handling the Department of Agriculture.
All right. Sir, any specific commitments that were provided by the president last week?
The mention of in his speech about the ease of doing business, I think that very well dive into the issue of helping the MSMEs. We know very well the challenges the MSMEs face, no, on compliance, and also a lot of times on the bureaucracy of the government, especially in their local governments. So this has been pointed out during the speech of President BBM, and we are ready in the private sector, as he clearly stated, that this is going to be a joint effort between the government and the private sector. And we have chambers all over the Philippines, and they do work with the local governments in many aspects. So this is positive news for us.
Okay. Sir, did he mention or were you able to speak about the RCEP ratification? And, you've been pushing, of course, for this. How optimistic are you that this might see the light of day?
Well, the RCEP has been discussed. It just hasn't been ratified. The fact that some of the concern regarding the RCEP was born out of the agricultural sectors, and I take it that from the narratives of the president, the agriculture sectors, it is have been able to address some of the issues, then he would be more comfortable in moving ahead with the RCEP.
Okay, so still some things to be ironed out there. Sir, moving now towards energy and renewable energy in particular, you've actually got the DOJ expressing that it's exempt from the 60-40 rule. Any big ticket projects you are hoping for here, specifically from foreign direct investors, which the president himself has been trying to court?
Regarding energy, one of the positive aspect is that now foreigners now are allowed to invest in renewable energy, such as solar and wind energy. So that's going to be an upside for us. The other issue that can be addressed quickly is the improvement on our power grid system. There's an imbalance, as I said many times. In Mindanao, the base load capacity is not taken up by there's an excess, and those can be diverted to areas that needs power. So these are ongoing projects by the government and by the Department of Energy.
Now, earlier, Sir George, you were talking about food security, and over the weekend, interestingly enough, you have the president over in Negros, saying that he vows to improve the sugar industry, but really did not mention any details or specifics on how he plans to do it. From your point of view, how should the president address issues with sugar and in the larger picture, food security as well?
The continuation of the improvement in the infrastructure for food-related or agri-related areas such as farm-to-market road, irrigations are crucial. But one of our resolutions is really to help the government review the agrarian reform law to extend the area for farmers be bigger than what is stipulated now in the law, which is 5 hectares. And in a resolution, in our discussion with our agriculture committee, we find it that 24 hectares should be the minimum, allowing the farmers to till the land for productivity, and also for the investment to be realistic. If it's too small, it's not worth investing because you don't get enough produce out of it.
Okay, and sir, speaking on some comments that the president himself tweeted regarding the peso, saying he was ready to defend the peso, did he give more details on that to the PCCI, and what exactly can be done by the president himself to defend our currency?
Regarding the exchange rate, statements have been made by our Secretary of Finance, Mr. Ben Yogno, about the readiness of our country's reserve to defend the peso. Hopefully that it will not, as what I've read, it will not reach 60 pesos to the dollar. The other issue at hand is that the Federal Reserve will be increasing interest rates in the very near future, November and possibly December, because the inflation, unmitigated inflation in the U.S., the interest vis-a-vis the inflation is still low. So there might be a possibly 200 basis point of adjustment. And for our currency to seek parity with the U.S. dollar, I would think that that would be something that the BSP needs to mirror the increase of interest rates. So if we are in parity or in tandem with that, our peso should hold its rate, hopefully below 60 pesos.
Okay.
But to defend it is one way, but we don't want to run out of our foreign reserve also.
Okay. And sir, finally, on the topic of inflation, what other means were discussed, specifically for supply side? You already mentioned agriculture, no? But these are more long-term projects. But he was promising that within this year, inflation and keeping that low would be top of priority. But we have seen the number continuing to be at some record highs here. So what was his plan in terms of battling inflation, apart from, of course, the interest rate story?
On the side on inflation, of course, the bigger part is really the food-related items. Fertilizer has gone up, and also energy. And I mentioned in my speech during the Philippine Business Conference that we are happy that the president came out with his Indonesian visit with some very positive development when President Jokowi of Indonesia has assured the Philippines of a supply of coal and also fertilizer. So both of these are inputs for the agri sectors. But aside from that, it's really for us to be more productive, more competitive in the various aspects. As what the president mentioned, that our sugar sector has been lagging behind. And because of that, the cost that is borne by the consumer is quite high compared to the other ASEAN countries. So those are the things that needs to be addressed. Certain sectors were in improved production, and the other flip side of all of this is really for us to be able to attract more foreign direct investments, which is what the president has been doing. Looking forward that he has focused on the ease of doing business, wherein the rule of law would be followed, not only from the national level, but all throughout, even the local governments. We have heard some complaints from investors that you have the law, but sometimes when it's being interpreted at the local level, it's different, and they find it difficult in dealing with those.
All right, so low-hanging fruit there, importation of coal to lower, of course, the energy prices, fertilizers as well, trying to improve the sugar sector, and as you mentioned, of course, ease of doing business. Thank you so much, George Barcelon.
By the way, Danie,
yes, sir.
I just like to
Go
stress
ahead.
also, which we have been, which we have it's part of the advocacy, is tourism. It's a low-hanging fruits sector, and now we've sort of gone over the hump for the COVID-19 pandemic, and we've seen other countries where the tourism has improved. So I hope that the government will do whatever it can to ease the visit of foreign visitors. Let's go easy on the requirement on the health protocol, and also getting whatever requirements for them to enter the country. That would help. That's all I'd like to add.
Definitely. I mean, considering the fact also that we've reached targets for the full year already as early as October, so that might actually be a good start.
Exponential growth there in tourism. Thank you so much again, Sir George Barcelon, PCCI President. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Now let's pause for a quick break, but coming right up after that. Cebu Pacific and Philippine Airlines canceled their flights to and from Cebu today after a Korean airplane overshot the runway.
More of that and other stories when Business World Live returns. Stay with us.
And you're still watching Business World Live here on One News. I'm Jess Delos.
And I'm Danie, Laurel.
All flights scheduled today to and from the Mactan Cebu International Airport have been canceled after a Korean Airlines plane overshot its runway late Sunday evening, October 23. Flashed on your screen are the Philippine Airline flights that have been suspended today. PAL says these flights are unable to take off and land until clearing operations on the runway are completed. Affected passengers may rebook their flights, ask for a refund, or convert their new.
Korean Air Flight KAL 631 overshot runway 4 of Mactan Cebu International Airport at around 11 p.m. last night. Authorities say all 162 passengers and 11 crew on board have been safely evacuated and no injuries were reported. Civil Aviation Authority spokesperson Eric Apolonio told Radyo 5 that they have already issued a notice to airmen or NOTAM regarding the runway suspended operations. Apolonio says the NOTAM may remain in effect until 12 noon. The government is still working on the deficiencies in its efforts to curb money laundering in the country. The Anti-Money Laundering Council says it continues to address the flaws identified in its strategy against dirty money and terrorism financing. This as the Philippines remain efforts. However, the FATF says the country still needs to implement measures against money laundering and terrorism financing risks related to casino junkets and beneficial ownership. Government officials earlier expressed hope that the Philippines will exit the gray list by January of next year.
Now, President Bongbong Marcos led the unveiling of Mega Road's Upper East Township marker in Bacolod on Sunday, October 23rd. In his speech during the inauguration, Marcos expressed hope that the large-scale master plan community will provide more quality jobs for Negrenses. The 34-hectare township seeks to generate around 500,000 direct and indirect jobs in the province of Negros Occidental.
Petro Pacific Investments Corporation has formally launched its digital health app called MWell. MWell will serve as a one-stop health app that will provide users with easy access to medical and wellness programs. MWell also features a clinic management system designed by doctors for doctors and will also be available to Filipinos overseas. Metro Pacific Investments Corporation has launched this app and it will of course feature a clinic management system, and smart communications and PLDT are set to be part of this strategy.
There's a lot more work that needs to be done in terms of improving the app and propagating it to a greater number of Filipinos. Right now, we have more than 800,000 subscribers on the app, and I think by year end we should have at least 1 million subscribers. But you know, there are many more Filipinos who can take advantage of this app and benefit from it.
Those are the biggest stories on the economic and corporate front today. I'm Jess De Los Santos.
And I'm Danie Laurel. We are One News, all sides, all the time. But don't go away. We'll give you the latest on the local bourse when Businessworld Live returns. Stay with us.
And you're still watching Business World Live here on One News. Now, Dan, we had a taste of third quarter earnings last week. We're expecting bulk of them or deluge at least to come in this week. What's the sentiment like?
All right, Jess. Well, again, the sentiment is everybody is still wait and see mode on how these other earnings, like you mentioned, some had already been trickling in, like BPI. But you've got AP Securities actually saying we might be seeing a downward bias for this week at least, and possibly testing 5,700 levels. You know, we're back above 6,000. Phil Stocks also says that bargain hunting might ensue this week. Prices are attractive to be swooping in. And Regina Cap's Luis Lumlingan is saying that there might be some window dressing to end the month before, of course, the long 4-day holiday.
Okay, but before that comes, we might as well focus on utilities here. Reopening of the economy, that of course would push the need for utilities, power, and water.
Exactly, Jess. And you can see, you know, on my charts here, some couple of power sectors here, even if they're the worst performing, they're still in the green. You've got Metro Pacific that also has interest in Meralco. You've got Aboitiz Power as well. And we can see here also it would have been a 28 billion peso IPO, one of the biggest we've ever had. They were already wooing investors, but due to market conditions, that might be pushed. Nevertheless, if you take a look at some of the other companies, you know, Blueberry, for instance, up by 2 4/4% this morning. ICTSI down by 0.12%.
And that's it for today, October 24, 2022. Join us again tomorrow at exactly 9:30 a.m. You can also catch us on Signal Play. Register for a free account now at www.signalplay.com and stream One News Live anytime, anywhere. I'm Jess De Los Santos.
And I'm Danie Laurel. Stay safe, Philippines. We are One News, all sides, all the time.